In television, nothing is possible beyond the capability of the lens. Because the lens is the eye of the system. The end result is vision with detail, contrast, and control. These three primary qualities are decided mainly by the lens at the point where the picture originates. So choosing a lens according to its use can either make or break the CCTV system. But it's surprising how many CCTV users inhibit the performance of their system by fitting an unsuitable lens. Let's take a close look at the wide range of Taylor-Hobson CCTV lenses from Rank Precision Industries Broadcast Division. We'll start with the simplest type, fixed focal length lenses. Here's a standard range of fixed focal length lenses which are fully corrected for TV. Focal lengths vary from 10 millimeters at the top to 145 millimeters at the bottom. The top half are for Vidicon cameras and the lower half are for both Vidicon and Plumbicon cameras. And here we have two large aperture fixed focal length lenses. They allow the camera to see even in poor light. Your final picture will have excellent resolution and contrast. We'll try out the 10mm f1.8 on a camera. Here's the picture through the lens. Contrasty, clear, right to the corners of the screen. No vignetting, which would make the picture look something like this. Vignetting, incidentally, is one of the consequences of using 16mm film lenses which have been adapted for television. Taylor-Hobson fixed focal length lenses are available in standard mounts with knurled control of the iris or with geared control rings. And there are also various motorized versions. All these fixed focal length lenses, except one, are in standard C mounts, which means they can be fitted to any camera on the market. Now let's think about zoom lenses. Here is a complete table of the different types of Taylor-Hobson zoom lenses. In this column is the type according to its zoom ratio, 10:1, 5:1, etc., etc. And here's the focal length range, because of course a zoom lens gives you any focal length you want within two extremes. Here is the aperture, and this column tells you what format the lenses can be used for, Vidicon, Plumbicon, or image orthicon. And on this table we've arranged them in descending order of optical quality and final picture quality. Well, first of all, we'll try out the Varital 10:1 zoom, and here it is fitted to a camera. It's a broadcast television lens specially adapted for educational closed-circuit television studios. It has a light transmission factor better than 80%. That's still full broadcast TV standard. And you can see the controls fully mounted onto this camera. Now, we'll cut to this camera with the Varital 20 Series 10:1 zoom. And we'll see the range of effects you can achieve. Note the picture quality, the detail and the contrast. We'll see these qualities even more when the lens is zoomed to the narrow angle. So let's see the entire zoom range fairly slowly. And as we split the screen, you can see how the lens reacts to the cameraman holding the controls from the widest possible angle to the narrowest. Incidentally, the camera is about 6 feet away from the model. Throughout the zoom, the camera itself hasn't moved on its pedestal, and yet see how the lens is exploring the subject. Coupled with a panning action, which we are now using on the zoom out, you can imagine the excellent potential for this lens in an educational CCTV studio. Fitted with a Varital 10:1 zoom, the camera can approach its subject to a distance of 4 feet, and that's where the camera is now. The distance between the subject and the lens is known as the minimum object distance. But there's another piece of Taylor-Hobson equipment which cuts the minimum object distance down to 2 feet. Here it is. It's a close-up attachment. We just fit this to the front of the lens, It has a simple bayonet mount and the attachment is fitted instantly. Now you can see how the cameraman has moved closer. We can of course zoom the lens from this distance. The Varital 20 Series 10:1 zoom is available for Vidicon cameras, Plumbicon or Image Orthicon formats. And there's also a colour version of the Varital 10:1 zoom, and here it is fitted to a Bell & Howell colour camera. An optional extra is this constant speed iris servo. Now Taylor Hobson are the first to make this facility available for CCTV users, and you can see how compact it is. Well, by the time you are watching this program, another Taylor Hobson refinement will have made its appearance. A low-cost, 3-function servo. It will give you positional control of focus and rate control of zoom. It's been developed as a direct result of talking with people in educational closed-circuit television. So that's the Varital zoom. Now we'll move on to the Monitor zoom lenses. There'll be a 10:1 zoom in the Monitor range available in early 1971 on a 25mm diagonal format. The focal length range is 16 to 160 millimeters at f2.6, and there will be a color version 17 to 170 millimeters at f2.8. Now, let's look at the 8:1 Monitor zoom. There are 3 versions, and here are the formats covered. By the way, this is another Monitor lens which we've adapted for color. Each 8:1 zoom can have geared control rings or behind camera push-pull control or standard manual control, and each one can be remotely controlled. Here's an 8:1 zoom mounted to a camera. Now let's cut to this camera and see the effect through a Monitor 8:1 zoom. Again, you'll notice how the lens makes an ordinary blown-up picture into program material by using zoom and pan. And although you are still seeing me through an 8:1 zoom, let me move on to some details about the Monitor 5:1 range. 5 different focal length ranges with all the corresponding apertures. The choice also depends on the format, of course. But, and this is most important, you need only one 5:1 lens body to cover the entire selection of focal length ranges. You change the focal length range by simply changing the rear element. Off comes the 20 to 100 millimeter f2.1 element, and now I've converted the lens to a 50 to 250 millimeter f5.2. Simple, isn't it? And of course it's economical. Again, Rank Precision Industries has put the 5:1 Monitor zoom into a special ETV package complete with controls, just the same controls as with the Varital 10:1. There are 2 other Monitor 5:1 zooms which I haven't mentioned so far and which we prefer to treat separately. These 2 are converted from a 16mm format and for TV have a lower specification. They tend to vignette at the corners of the picture. One is the 23 to 115mm f2.6. The other is the 17 to 85mm f3.8, better known as the pocket zoom. And you can easily see why. It weighs less than 10 ounces. Now, here's a cutaway version which shows the internal optics. The zoom is operated from the lens barrel. Or if the zoom is motorized, then you operate it by pressing these 2 tabs. Here's the pocket zoom fitted to a camera. We'll show you the effect of shooting with this 5:1 converted cine-lens. Converted lenses vary greatly in quality, of course, and I think you'll be surprised by the high standard of this particular one compared to the cost. Now, the transmission is using the pocket zoom. We'll see the zoom range. Obviously, such a lens can't possibly give you broadcast TV standards, but where the application is less ambitious or where there's only a little money available, the pocket zoom is an extremely worthwhile investment. Notice the slight vignetting, but not at all bad for a converted 16mm lens. You could have the lens remotely controlled if you wished. All monitor zoom lenses can be remotely controlled from this panel, with or without the automatic iris. Push buttons for focus, zoom and iris, and the controls are so grouped so that you can operate the panel one-handed. Another monitor zoom, which has been specially converted from 16mm to CCTV format, is the 3:1 zoom. This is a special one for wide-angle shooting with a focal length of 8 to 26mm at f1.6. It can be remotely controlled or have geared control rings. Now, you've already seen the effect of a close-up attachment on a varietal 10:1 zoom. All monitor zooms can also be fitted with close-up attachments to enable you to focus on your subject from infinity to within 125mm of the front element. All you have to do is simply unscrew the lens hood, pop in the attachment, and replace the lens hood. But how do you get a massive close-up such as this one? You know what that is? It's the eye of a needle. Well, there is a monitor attachment which gives you up to ×35 magnification on the receiver's screen. This means that you can fill the screen with something 1/4 of the size of an average postage stamp. It's called a macro zoom attachment, and it can be fitted to any monitor 8:1 or 5:1 zoom in exactly the same way as the ordinary close-up attachment. Yet another monitor attachment, the offset viewfinder, with two versions, the large size and standard size. They're extremely useful when the lens is fitted to a camera without a viewfinder of its own, like this one. Look through the eyepiece and you see exactly what you would see on a monitor screen. The offset viewfinder can be fitted to any 5:1 monitor zoom. Now, certain applications are so specialized that they demand a range of lenses designed and built for a specific purpose. Nuclear lenses. There are 8 fixed focal length nuclear lenses in the monitor range and 1 nuclear zoom, 28 to 86mm f4.3. They're all designed to resist browning under radiation conditions. They can, in fact, withstand a radiation level of 10 to the 8 Rontgen. That's 1,000 times more than ordinary lenses. They're available in C-type mount. The body is a cobalt stainless steel barrel. They're air and watertight and can withstand temperatures of up to 150 degrees centigrade. You can use them with infrared camera tubes up to 0.8 nanometers. Now let's take a look at an ingenious device which saves you a lot of time and money when testing your camera tube. It's a diascope. This is the Vidicon version, but there's also a Plumicon diascope. It's a compact test unit, and using it you can check the following facilities of your camera: flange focal distance, alignment of tube and housing, scanning size and orthoscopy, the electronic definition of the camera and monitor. The diascope contains a miniature version of the television test card, and it screws into position exactly as a lens would. Now, I'll switch on the monitor. And there is the test card, transmitted from the diascope, an ORTF test card. Of course, no TV studio, large or small, can afford to be without a telecine device, utilizing existing equipment, such as a 16mm movie projector and a slide projector. Making both work together and adding a live television medium is the job of monitor telecine optics. Assemble them all together in a single telecine unit, and this is what you get: the triplex telecine unit. Here's the central beam splitter. There is the input for the 16mm projector, and here is the input for the slide projector. And here's the subject lens working with a caption scanner down here. And under here is the CCTV camera, and here is the control panel. Now, let's see it working. I'll switch to 16mm film. Now I'll switch to slides. Now to scanning a caption through the pocket zoom. But I don't have to use one at a time. I can superimpose one medium on another. I'll superimpose this caption from the scanner channel onto the 16mm film, or the slide caption onto the film. In fact, you can combine all three. You'll find more details of Taylor Hobson Optics in this brochure, the All-Observant Lens. It contains full specifications for each lens and optical device in the varietal and monocle range, plus more information and photographs. All 64 pages of it. There's also a special supplement which gives details of monocle zoom lenses which have been adapted for CCTV, and another booklet you might well be interested in is this one, the text of a lecture given by one of our research and development team. It covers the theory of CCTV optics and shows how they differ from motion picture film optics. It also contains hints on using zoom lenses and how to set them up. If you would like a copy of any of these booklets, or you'd like to discuss any of our CCTV products, don't hesitate to contact us at the following address. Or if you live outside Britain, you'll find we have a local agent or subsidiary in most parts of the world. Rank Precision Industries deals with an international market. We are directly concerned with CCTV users throughout the world.